I'm Christine Harms from FCIT along with James Welsh, and we are here to talk to you a little bit about coaching and mentoring with the TIMC. And first of all, just to backtrack a bit, what is the TIM? So the TIMC is actually based on the Technology Integration Matrix. And if you haven't been able to see any of our other presentations yet, just want to let you know that there are recordings of just a basic overview of the Technology Integration Matrix, as well as another presentation that gives a basic overview of the TIM tools. So we're going to focus today on specifically on the TIM coaching tool. So just briefly though, the TIM is a framework for describing and targeting technology use to enhance learning. And it's comprised of 5 interdependent characteristics of meaningful learning environments, being active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, and goal-directed. And then, as you see across the top, then is 5 levels of technology integration running from entry, adoption, adaptation, infusion, all the way up to transformation. And you can learn a lot more about the Technology Integration Matrix at the website fcit.usf.edu/matrix. So moving on specifically to the TIMC, this is a tool for supporting and facilitating a coaching or mentoring cycle and interaction, and can also be used to support an entire coaching program. Some important distinctions: the TIMC itself is not a coaching model, so it's a very flexible tool that can be used with really almost any coaching or mentoring model that you might be using. And another important distinction is the TIMC is not the coaching itself. So the TIMC does not do the coaching for you. It's a framework and a platform to support coaching. And just for clarification, a lot of folks use the terms coaching and mentoring interchangeably. There really are a couple of philosophical differences in terms of mentoring is really more set up as the mentor is this person who has experience or expertise, and the mentor then advises someone and guides them, and they're usually a less experienced, the mentee is less experienced. Coaching philosophically is really more of a partnership. So the coach is supporting the client in achieving the goals that the client sets. And like I said before, like they are different approaches, but many schools and districts do use the terms interchangeably. We will use the word coaching, but as I said earlier, the TIMC really works whether you're using a coaching or mentoring approach equally well. So the TIMC is set up to go in 5 phases. The first is setting goals, then planning activities, monitoring the progress of the activities, recording the outcomes of the goals, and then finally reflecting on the coaching cycle. And you'll see that it, as with it is a cyclic setup. So you complete a coaching cycle and take the learnings from one coaching cycle and use them to feed into the next coaching cycle. So just a quick overview here of some pieces inside the tools. So in terms of the first phase of setting goals, you first set a focus, select a focus for the particular coaching cycle. Then you set however many goals you want. And then you select data to inform those goals. And if you can see here on the screen at the bottom, if you are using some of the other tools in the TIM Tools suite, those pieces of data are accessible to be brought into a coaching cycle. So here you can see the person has chosen to use a previous coaching cycle to inform the goals that they're setting in this current coaching cycle. If you had done a TOPS, Technology Use and Perception Survey, those data can be brought in. If you had done a TIM reflection or TIM observation, those can be brought in as well. And we like the idea of emphasizing using data to inform your goal setting. The next phase is planning activities to support each goal. And when you're doing this process, you are able to see what the focus of your coaching cycle is, the goals that you have currently set, and then you can plan however many activities you want that will support your achieving the goals that you have set. And then in the next phase is where you're monitoring progress on those activities. So how am I doing on the activities that I've designed that I think are going to be the ones that will best help me support the goals that I've set. And we have this set up in two different pieces. The first is a check-ins. And this check-ins feature is pretty robust in that it can be used as your main communication between the coach and the client, back and forth, as you see here. The coach has responded to the client saying, I'm glad to hear the webinar was helpful. And then later that same day, the client says, hey, goal 1, activity 1 completed. I attended this webinar. That can be the main interaction. If you're having phone calls or Zoom calls between the coach and the client, those can be recorded as check-ins. And the great thing about this is then you have a running record of the entire log of the interactions that have happened between the coach and the client, so that you have a complete set of everything that happened during that coaching cycle. And then after these check-ins, there's also a place to record how you're doing with specific activities. Has the activity been fully completed, partially completed, or is it still in progress? And you can provide details here. And I do want to mention that both the goals and the activities can be edited and modified, as in any good coaching. Quite a bit of what happens is you realize, maybe I need more activities, maybe I need different activities. Maybe this activity, isn't exactly what I needed to help me get to where I need with this goal. So it's very flexible in that sense. And then the next phase is where you're recording the outcomes of your goals. So as you're finishing up the coaching cycle, you're evaluating to what extent did I complete each of the goals, and then providing supporting details. There's a place to write, however long of a narrative you like. And then also bringing the data back in, selecting the data to inform your outcomes. So in this case, this person, started off the coaching cycle with information from the previous coaching cycle. Now, in recording the outcomes of the goals that they've set, they're using a TIM reflection that they did themselves, as well as another TIMC. And finally, this is a phase that we think is really important, that both the coach and the client are reflecting on what happened during the coaching cycle. So it's not just we did set these goals, we did these activities, and then we're done. But really being intentional about making sure that we're taking the learnings from the coaching cycle and using them to move forward. So both the client and the coach individually complete reflections, and they can see each other's reflections once they've been completed. There's just the simple rating from how effective to, not at all effective to highly effective, and then specific questions for the client, and then other specific open-ended questions for the coach to complete. And just to go over a few of the benefits of this tool, as you can see, it's quite flexible. As I said earlier, it can be used with a variety of instructional coaching and mentoring approaches. And what you didn't see in this example was it actually can be used for self-coaching. So you could, I could use it myself for monitoring my own goals and activities, and having a space for reflection of, my own professional development goals. And from the perspective of, a school or a district, that if, based on how your coaching or mentoring program is set up, you can choose to use some of the pieces and not the others, so it best fits the needs of your program. One of the benefits from a teacher or client perspective is that everything is recorded in one place. The goals are there, the activities are there, and they're editable by both the teacher and the coach. You can also easily review and refer back to previous coaching cycles that you've engaged in. And while these pieces, are not part of necessarily part of an evaluation or professional development plan, you can take the components from the coaching tool and use them however they best fit your needs. From the coach perspective, you can see all of your client or your teacher's coaching cycles in one screen on your dashboard. So it's easy to keep track of. Now, wait a minute, who all am I coaching and where are they in the process? it's all in one place. As well as with a particular or specific teacher or client, you can see all of their coaching cycles that you've done with them before. And that, like I said, that check-ins feature gives you a nice shared workspace as well. And from the school or district perspective, it's just a nice way to be able to manage a coaching program without having, different documents and emails. And I know other people are using, maybe some Google Docs, and it's just a nice way to have it all in one spot and functioning in the same way across all coaches or mentors and all teachers. The piece that we didn't have a chance to show you yet is the data that gets downloaded. So from the administrator perspective, the person administering the coaching, is to be able to download a record of how many coaching cycles have been completed, where are different clients in their coaching cycles. So just a way to see how the coaching is being used and use that data to then improve your coaching program. And James, anything you'd like to add that I didn't cover?
Sure. Well, no, just some not anything that wasn't covered, but just some comments about how that effectiveness reporting, I think, is a really important component. To say, like, you might be running a district coaching, and there are some very large school districts and or ministries of education or other organizations that might be running it. So if you have a robust coaching program going on, you might have hundreds or even thousands of coaching cycles happening simultaneously across your district. And so to be able to look at a snapshot and say, okay, what's our average effectiveness of coaching cycles this school year? Or to be able to even drill in to say, like, okay, the most effective coaching cycles we have, what do those have in common? What can we learn by looking at the coaching cycles that our teachers are saying work best for them? Is it maybe about the duration, or about the number of goals, or about the types of activities? Is there something else that we can learn to improve? So there's so much data built in. That's what coaching is about all the way through, is an intention to improve, in an organized way. And really, if you pop it up to another level, that's what the coaching program overall is, the intention for the entire organization to improve. So that's cool.
Exactly. Good point.
One of the other things I was thinking about is with the data selection, that you can pull in data from any instrument, but you can also, we have some alternatives there where you may have, a teacher may have something that happened in their classroom that isn't part of an observation record or doesn't show up on a survey that they can write about. And so we have a place within the tool to submit that text to say, okay, here's the data as I understand it that is supporting this goal or supporting this outcome. And a place where you can attach an outside URL. So if you have your baseline data, your supporting data in some other tool that is addressable through a web address, you can drop that in as well.
Yeah, great point.
One other thing, I guess, would be, it is called the TIMC, and TIM is conceptually behind a lot of the work that we do. However, there's nothing that is within this tool that says it has to be related to the TIM. So you can use this to support coaching around improving technology integration, but you could also use this to support coaching efforts around really anything. Subject. Yeah. These 5 phases, there's nothing specific about technology or technology integration. This could be anything.
Exactly. And like I mentioned earlier, using it for self-coaching, just monitoring your own goals. It could be anything that you're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a thought about coaching versus mentoring. The description of that at the beginning, I was thinking like, oh, it's kind of like the distinctions between those two things. If I am a soccer player or a football player, if you live in the rest of the world, and I want to be a goalie, if the person who is helping me on that journey is a goalie and is I'm maybe shadowing that person, and that person is guiding me toward what they understand about being a goalie. That's a mentoring relationship. Where if I'm talking about the coach of the team who understands what the job of the goalkeeper is and understands how how it works, but isn't necessarily a goalkeeper. It can't necessarily do it. Doesn't necessarily have direct experience doing it, but knows how to coach it. Understands the bigger picture, understands what skill sets are needed, how to attain those skill sets, has ideas of those kinds of things. Do you think that analogy holds up or no?
I think the challenge with that is that sports coaching is different.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's a definite power structure there. It's like, drop and give me 20, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we don't do that in, instructional coaching. It's it's a partnership. It's a,
Okay, well, can I get partial credit? Does it partially work?
I guess so.
Well, at least in my head, I was able to come up with a difference between a coach and a mentor. But yeah, you're right. The instructional coach and the athletic coach, it's not the same thing.
But the TIMC. And, when you mentioned that, it doesn't have to be TIM necessarily related, right? I didn't point this out, but if you're familiar with the technology integration matrix and the goal-directed characteristic, you will notice that these set goals, plan activities, monitor progress, record outcomes, and reflect on the coaching side, or reflection, are the components of the goal-directed characteristic of the TIM. So we just kind of, not coincidental, but
I like it's an Easter egg.
Exactly. So you get bonus points if you figured that out.
Great. Thanks. Any questions? Anybody? Any comments? Cool. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. That was great.